an exciting guest. Her name is Cassie Kaufhold, Olympic archer, and she's one of those young, up and coming athletes. If you all don't know, I've been interviewing Cassie since she's 14 years old, right? That's been
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
since a few years back, and I saw back then, yes, a lot of talent, and you
Hmm.
have done some really great things. The last time I interviewed you would have been October of 2021.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and since then I think we've met in Chile for a little bit at the
Hmm.
Pan Am camps, and you have done so much in that time. So tonight really is to just talk to you and to for audience also listen as to what you have done in that time, your accomplishments and so on, right? So
Hmm.
this is live, so we may get a few questions from the
Okay.
audience, every now and again, which I'm going to pitch to you.
Okay.
We're going to keep it interactive. And one of the reasons for doing this program as well is also to inspire not
Hmm.
only young athletes, but young female athletes as well, right?
Hmm.
We have a lot of up and coming athletes here in Trinidad and in the
Oh,
Caribbean.
good.
And of course, they look up at you and other athletes like yourself to see how they can improve and so on. Yeah. So anything you want to say before I just kick off with a few questions? Anything you want to say to our audience?
I'd say just thank you guys for following along with my journey. I really appreciate it. I love to hear from all the fans and all the archers out there, and hopefully, I'll ask some questions that we can answer.
Okay, great, good. So Cassie, in terms of your since the last time I spoke to you, you won the Lancaster Classic this year, right?
Hmm.
2023. Is it the first time you won it, or you came close a few times?
My second time I've won.
Second time, right,
Hmm.
right. How was that? How do you feel that was? I mean, I know it's your dad's competition. Is it added pressure?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
so it being my dad's competition definitely adds a little bit of pressure to it. I always want to perform well and do well. So I worked it really hard this past indoor season. I made a few form changes, equipment changes, and was shooting really well at the start of the season for indoor, and then the classic came around, and it was just on stage, it was one of those moments where I felt like I just couldn't miss. So
right,
it was probably one of the best indoor on stage matches I've ever shot, and so it was awesome just to have that experience at the classic.
right. So was your leg shaking that time, or anything like
Yes,
that?
they. I'm always, no matter what, you feel nervous. So definitely a little bit of shakes, but usually I can shoot through the shakes as long as my mind is clear.
Right, good. I mean, the reason why I bring that up, we had a competition here in the Caribbean recently. It's called the Caribbean Development Championships. It's a tournament that's put on by World Archery Americas to help
Hmm.
young and developing athletes. And it was one of the biggest participations so far since the tournament has been going on.
Wow.
But what was funny, in talking to some of my athletes after the event, but actually during the event as well, for some of them was their first time. I said, "How did it go?" But coach, I was shaking all the time. so,
Hmm.
so I mean, all I could do is talk to them on the phone because I wasn't on the line with them at the time.
Okay.
What would you recommend to athletes like that? They're competing against someone next to them and they can't stop their body from shaking. What do you do?
I'd say the biggest thing is just taking deep breaths. Breathing can really help any situation you're nervous in. So whenever like I just feel a little bit shaky, I just make sure to take some deep breaths. And for me, I can usually shoot through the shakes. For me, there's like two types of nervous I can be. It's either I'm thinking nervous thoughts or my body is just physically nervous and I'm shaking. And for
Right,
me, it's easier to have my mind clear and be shaking rather than me not shaking and then thinking all these
right,
crazy thoughts that are making me nervous on the inside, so to say. So
yeah,
I'd say like the biggest thing is just taking that deep breath, maybe like relaxing your shoulders, your posture a little bit, just so you're not so. A lot of times when people shake, they're just tense. So just
yeah.
taking deep breath in, letting that tension out can really help.
What about is it like a distraction? Do you try anything like something to distract you from the moment or take your mind off of it or something like that?
So usually I do like a physical and mental reset. So something I like to do is like if I'm wearing like a hat, like I'll just like adjust my hat and think about something like that's non-archery related. Like if I just see one of my friends like in the crowd watching me shoot, and I'll just like smile at them, fix my hat, and then
Right.
just have that reset instead of like ongoingly thinking about something archery or something that'll make me nervous, just to kind of get my mind off of archery for a second and then refocus helps.
Okay, good, good, good. But so in that regard, though, I mean, you have competed at top level at the Olympics and so on.
Mhm.
We've done the mental management program from Lani and so on, some of us. And one of the things I did this year, we had a boot camp this year, and one of the main focuses we had every day is that we run a little mental management session with our athletes, right?
Okay.
To help them understand how important that aspect is in the sport.
Mhm.
Um, in your opinion, from your experience, how big a part does the mental management play for you?
I think a really big part. I mean, with any sport, you have to have your physical side and your mental side in check.
Yeah.
So for me, like having like a shot process like the one that mental management systems teaches, it helps me like occupy my mind enough to where I don't have like intrusive thoughts come in while I'm competing. So it just gives my mind something to think about that is a routine. Like when you physically shoot, you have like try to make the most consistent shot. So mentally, you want to have a consistent program as well, and that's really what
Right.
I like a lot about the mental management system.
Right. Right. Okay. Cool. So good. Good. So I mean, let's move on to another competition you had this year. I mean, usually right after the Lancaster event, there's the Vegas event. I know you took part in that this year as well.
Hmm.
Tell us, I mean, how was your performance there, and what do you think? What's the differences really between the Lancaster event classic and the Vegas? And as you know, Vegas is one of the largest indoor events in the world.
Hmm.
Well, largest,
Right.
actually.
Yeah. So Vegas wasn't my best indoor tournament of the year. I think sometimes I struggle with just feeling expectation, whether they're real or not. I just sometimes get caught up in what other people are thinking, and so I just come off of Lancaster and straight to Vegas, and so I just like in my mind felt like there was a lot of expectation for me to do well there, and I had won the previous year.
Right.
So sometimes that's tough, like wanting to win it back to back. And so in that instance, I just wasn't thinking about the right things, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I let expectation get the best of me. But I think there's something to learn from every tournament, and so that was a big experience for me, just learning to block out expectation.
Right. Right. I guess as again, a mentally reset and probably refocusing, for every
Hmm.
competition. Um,
Right.
what was who was your coach at those events? Was it Heather?
Heather didn't travel to Vegas this year. My one of my other coaches, Dick Tone, was there.
Right. Okay. I saw this year. I think it was this year. I believe last year as well. You actually did some work with one of my favorite coaches. You want to guess who that is?
Coach Kim.
Yep.
Yeah.
Coach Kim. Coach Kim. Yeah, I actually
Yes.
spent a short time with him in South Korea way back in
Okay.
2016. Yeah, and I brought him here to Trinidad in 2019. So he did some
Hmm.
workshops here with us in 2019.
Okay.
So we follow him quite closely. So I mean, when you work with him, what was your thoughts? Did he make any major changes that help you improve over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I enjoyed working with him. I think anytime you work with somebody new, like you just pick parts of it that like it might be the same thing that another coach is telling you, but just the way they say it, it clicks better. So a lot of the parts of Coach Kim's style are very similar to what Heather and Dick teach.
Right,
It was just like he might just say it in a little bit of a different way, or like gesture in a movement just to show it slightly different than other people, and it just might make a little more sense. So I think the biggest thing was just getting a different perspective, and so I've incorporated a few things from his style, and I'm
right,
still working with Heather File and Dick Tone, and so I think it's just really cool to get because every archer is different, every archer is built different, every archer trains a little bit different. So I think it's nice to like I can take like little pieces from um, each style and make a shot that fits me the best.
right. Okay, that's good. That's good. So I have a question. This was
Mhm.
sent in by one of our. I think you may have answered part of it already.
Okay.
This is one of our coaches that's up the islands, in the British Virgin Islands. He had asked me to ask you, how do you prepare mentally for competitions, right? If a new one is coming up, what do you do to prepare mentally?
A big part of my mental preparation for tournaments is visualization and imagery. So for me, like if I have been to the Paris World Cup before, then I will like a few weeks leading up to that, I will be visualizing myself like shooting on that stage. And so like once I get there and I'm shooting there, like it doesn't feel like I haven't done it before, or it doesn't feel like super long since I've shot there. It feels somewhat familiar, and then it's easier to kind of acclimate and get used to shooting in that different venue. And so that's the biggest thing for me is just having like a few reps of visualization each day, just kind of helps mentally prepare for when you're in like a competition setting that maybe you're not super familiar with compared to like at home you might shoot and practice in the same field every day, and then you go somewhere new and things might feel different, so it just
Right.
kind of gives you
Yeah.
a little bit of extra prep.
Okay. He also asked, have you ever had target panic at all?
I have not had target panic, no, I haven't.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. I think I have gotten a slight taste of it, but compounded.
Okay,
But
compound, some people like to get a little
yeah,
punchy. Yeah.
yeah, but got past that quickly. Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the things you did this year. So you won the archery, the Paris World Cup, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
was that one of your best wins ever in your mind, or I mean your thoughts? Your thoughts. You seem
I
very
think,
happy to won that.
yeah, I would say that's one of my biggest accomplishments. That was my first World Cup win, so it felt amazing to just have a really good tournament overall. I qualified really well and had some tough matches to get through, and I was really proud of how I mentally and physically just kept myself together and kept fighting through the whole thing.
Yeah, that was a pretty close match.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
The last, I remember my quarters match went to a shoot off, and then the
Yes.
semi and the gold medal match were both
Wow.
4-4 and then 6-4. So
Yeah.
it was just, yeah, I had to fight through every little bit. There's if you like just hesitate for a second, it could totally go the other way. So I just had to be really confident and trust myself and trust my training.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I can see that there's a really fantastic win. I enjoyed watching that match as well. It
Yeah,
was a
thank
tough
you.
match. The previous one, the semifinal, was it against one of the Koreans, I believe?
Yes, Troy me soon.
Troy, yes. And you see she's shooting pretty well still, right? So,
Yep. Yeah,
yeah,
she
yeah.
just won the Asian championship.
Asian Asian
Yes.
Championships, yes, yes. She's coming along pretty well. She's been on the circuit for a while.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, she's
by,
been
by by
shooting really
Korean standards.
well. Yeah, they all are shooting good, so
Yeah,
it's always fun to shoot against them for sure.
yeah. And you've taken down a few of them already, which is good, right? So keep it up. Um,
Thank you.
so, I mean, one other thing you did, I mean, you made it to the World Cup in Mexico, right?
Mhm,
Um, what are your thoughts on the World Cup and the way that's run? Because you earned it by, of course, winning the Paris stage of the event,
mhm,
right? And I guess the other way you earn it as well is by points, right?
mhm.
What are your thoughts of that event? Or do you think there some improvements could be made in terms of how it's run?
So that was my second World Cup final I've ever done. I competed in the one in Yankton. I got the host country spot.
Right.
So that's like an interesting thing that they do because like at like certain like continental games and Olympic games, the host country gets a team spot. So like it's interesting that the World Cup final, the host country gets an individual spot in the final. I think it adds a little bit to it and just makes it fun, makes it different. You can kind of have like a little bit of an underdog story. Like I know in 2021, Jack Williams he won and he was the host country spot. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, even though he and I might not have qualified off of points at that event, like it's still cool to kind of have like a little underdog story
Right.
shoot well. But this time around in Mexico, I qualified from the win in Paris, and so I like how the final was run. I think it's neat how they do a drawing. So they take like the the top eight, and instead of doing a bracket off of points, they put the top two seeds at opposite ends of the bracket, and then they
Right.
draw names for who shoots each match, which is a very
Yeah.
unique type of way. And I think it's reasonable because at that level you get the top eight
Mhm.
pretty much in that World Cup season at the time, and so everybody's good. It's not like, oh, I want to get drawn for this person because
Yeah.
there might
Yeah.
be an easier match than this person. Like it's the top eight, like everybody's good. So I think it makes it really interesting because you don't know who you're gonna get.
But I find it goes by too quickly
Yeah,
because
it does.
it
It goes
does go
by
by
in a
too
flash
quickly.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
up on the
I was
stage. Yeah.
yeah. I mean I want to probably put this as a recommendation. Maybe when they split the two groups, they do round robin matches, and
Oh,
then
okay.
yeah, and then maybe take it up from
Interesting.
there. So more for us, the audience, and more for you guys.
Interesting. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. Or like
Yeah.
maybe
Mhm.
instead of doing a draw, they could do like just a 72 round out of the eight and then rank it off of that. Like that would be
Yeah.
neat too.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think about some of the folks who qualify, go up there, and your first match, you're out. It's like, wow.
You went all
I,
that way and yeah.
yeah, yeah. I find that's a bit tough.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
That's like definitely the sour part of it. You might be there to go all the way through and you might be there for one match. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'll probably put your recommendation. I don't know. You never know, because I think it'll be good for the athletes as well as us, the audience. You want to see more matches, and you
hmm
may have a top athlete. I mean, and you get knocked out in the first one. You never have a
right.
second, no second chance or anything like that.
hmm
So yeah, yeah. That's my thoughts about that.
Okay.
So yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about the Olympics 2024.
hmm
So you won the first spot for the US, correct?
hmm Yes, that's
And that
right.
that was at the Paris. Was it Paris World Cup as
It
well?
was at World Championships in
World
Berlin.
Cup. Berlin, yes, correct, Berlin. Now you all have won in a team spot.
Yes, we are working
Mixed
towards
team.
that. The first time
Oh,
we
the
can
mixed,
get
oh, the
a.
mixed team. The mixed
Oh
team.
yes, mixed team. Yes.
Right,
So Brady and I shot mixed team at Pan Am Games, and so the men also have an individual spot now.
right, right. So I guess now, looking forward, I guess you're looking at a women's team spot
Right.
and a men's team spot. So what's the plans for you all getting there? I know South Korea finally got a team spot for their women.
Right.
They missed out in Berlin, which was
hmm
the first time ever. That was a big shocker,
Yes. Shocking. Yes.
right? But I mean, I knew they'll get it eventually, and they've gotten it now.
hmm
So when is the next opportunity for the U.S. women's team and men's team to try and earn spots?
The next opportunity will be in April at the Pan Am Championships. So we have to win that event to get our individual spot. The U.S. teams both just did amazing in the Pan Am Games last
Yeah.
week. Both came
Yes.
home with gold medals. So the girls and I, we've been working really hard, and so that was awesome. That was our first win together, and I think we've made a lot of progress in the last 2 years, and we're definitely confident that we'll get those spots in April.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yes, that'll be good.
Yeah.
We got to get the America's people on there
Yes.
from our region. Um, so let's see, what else I have here for you? One other question. What tournament do you think was the most enjoyable?
I would say Paris was probably my most enjoyable tournament this year. Um, I, I like it's always more fun when you're shooting well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just had a really good time. I shot well there, and I also had a really fun time with my teammates. We were not to say stuck together, but we were all together for like a month. Between we had a training camp before World Championships and then World
Yeah.
Championships, and then a few of us went to train at the Biter Center um, before Paris. So we were together for a long time, and it was just a lot of fun to get to know my teammates better. And so Paris was really the last time before we all split up before nationals, and just got to hang out and have fun and go see everything that Paris offers, and it was a really good time.
Yeah, great. That's good. That's good. Um, Another question I want to ask is field archery. Now we know field archery is now part of the ranking system, right?
Right.
Um, so what are your thoughts on field archery and what tournaments? I know you did one this year, correct? I believe you did one this year.
Field? No, no, I
Or not?
haven't done field.
Was it 3D? Maybe in 3D.
3D. I did 2 3D tournaments. Yes.
Right. So what it was about the field archery, and do you think you have any planned in the future in terms of taking part in to probably improve your rankings or anything like that?
I think it's interesting that they added field and indoor archery into the world ranking system. It's definitely different than they've done it in the past.
Yeah.
For me, it's nice for indoor because that's something I usually perform pretty well at, to add to the rankings. But I've never really gotten into field.
Yeah.
I've just shot some local field tournaments, but nothing like world archery field. So for me, oh excuse me. For me, I probably won't do any like international field tournaments just because I think I'll have to put too much time into it to get the results out of it for world ranking because the points are pretty small and
Right.
you can only count one field tournament towards world ranking. So
Right.
for me, I just don't think I like if I enjoyed doing field and I had done it for years, of course I would like do field and be super happy that it's part of the world ranking. But just because I never really got into it and I know I give people so much credit for learning how to judge distance. I I've never really practiced at it, but I feel that I
Yeah.
would be quite poor at it. So I give a lot of credit to those who are really talented field shooters, and I just think it would take a lot of time for me to get to the level where it would count enough
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
say.
Mm. Well, I mean, you still have the opportunity, so you never know, right? You probably
True.
give it a try in 2024.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll see.
one of my archers, here, Daniel Garcia, he's asking, what's your training routine? Um, yeah, asking what's your recurve training routine? He's one of our
Okay.
recurve archers in Trinidad, Daniel.
Yeah. So I usually shoot 7 days a week unless I have a travel day. And during the outdoor season, like the main outdoor season, I'll shoot anywhere from like 200 to 250 arrows a day, sometimes a little bit more. If I just have a busy day and happen to have a lighter day, I might shoot 300 on another day to kind of make up for it.
Yeah,
And for me, I know a lot of archers take a day off. For me, if I take a day off, I actually get more sore than if I just shoot 7 days a week.
okay,
I think my muscles just tighten up from not being like used in the same way they are while shooting. So
right,
I shoot every day, and during the indoor season, I also shoot 7 days a week and might do like around 200 arrows a day as well.
right.
Um, yeah, and over the indoor season, if there's like a nice day out, I live in Pennsylvania, so it gets pretty cold over the winters. But
Yes, yeah.
if there's a nice day out during indoor season, I'll shoot outside just to keep up with it during, like, so I'm prepared for when outdoor season comes back.
Right. He's also asking what do you do for strength training? Or you just shoot or do you any additional work for strength training?
Yeah, so usually over the summer, I don't do a lot of strength training because it's hard for me to keep up with it with traveling so often
Yeah.
because like I'll be home and I'll be able to work out, but then I'll travel somewhere and I might not be able to. So I save my physical training for over the winter season. So I just got back from Pan Am Games on Tuesday, and Wednesday I started working out. So I usually kind of rotate. Like I'll do upper body and core in the same day, and then I'll do cardio and then legs, and then I'll kind of like rotate through that, and then take one day off over the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday.
Right. Okay. Good. Good. So yeah, that's a very very good routine.
Hmm.
And it's something I think is important for other archers who are listening or going to listen to this to understand that you have to do a bit of strength training as well, especially if you want to be at the elite level of the sport or get there, right?
Right.
You got to get some strength routine going.
Hmm.
In my program, I've had girls who started who can do one push up and now could do like 10, 20 push ups.
Oh, great.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Um, yeah, yeah. So there's something I encourage them to do and to do the work at home as well.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me see if there are other questions here for you. Yeah, I think I've covered most of the major questions here.
Cool.
Okay, good. Um, anything else? Anything else you want to say to our folks or young folks out there who are aspiring to be like you?
Yeah, I'd just say the biggest thing is just putting in the hard work. I know it's tough, and there are going to be days where you want to do something else, but I think the biggest thing about chasing dreams is sometimes making sacrifices. And I know it's hard, but sometimes you have to do what's hard. And so just stay positive, follow your dreams, and be the hardest worker out there, and you'll see it happen.
But one thing to add to that, though, I mean, how do you mix that with terms of your education and stuff like that as a young person?
Yeah, so I last year I did my first year of college. I'm taking some time off now to compete full time. But when I was doing college and archery at the same time, things definitely got busy. And the biggest thing for me was just prioritizing time the best as I could and just being efficient with my days. Like I wouldn't sit around and scroll on my phone when I had free time. I would just go over my homework or go over my notes if I knew I had an exam coming up, or if I just had a little bit of time between classes. The range was close by, so I'd go shoot, even if it was another 50 arrows to get in the day. And just being smart with your time is the biggest thing.
Okay, great. Okay, Cassie, thank you so much for your time. Right, I'm going
Yes.
to end the live stream now, and you just stay on for 1 minute afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, everyone, thanks
Great.
for tuning in. I know you'll see it on the replay as well. So, Cassie, stay on for a bit. I'm going to end the stream in
Okay.
five,
Thank you.
two,